Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. The largest botanical gardens in the Caribbean is short on funds and has signed a partnership agreement to get millions from the Diaspora to help run the facility and pay staff. Krista Campbell was at Monday's signing ceremony and filed this report.
Crowds descended on the grounds of the Hope Royal Botanic Gardens in St. Andrew on Saturday, February 28 and Sunday, March 1 for the highly popular Lost in Time Reggae Music Festival, driving sales for many vendors who were able to set up shop at the event. But 1 month later, the Nature Preservation Foundation, NPF, which manages Hope Gardens, is singing a sad song.
Persons see a lot of large events happening here, and then they equate that large events to big monies that we have, and so there may be the thinking that, we don't need the support, but I'm saying that the expenses that we have far outweigh some of the things that we see happening here.
Carla Myrie is executive director at the NPF. She explains that the garden's close proximity to residential communities like Hope Pastures is limiting.
Within the past 2 or so years, we've been challenged in terms of the number of events, the number and the types of events that we're able to have here. The bigger events are the ones that bring in more, but the bigger the events are the ones that create the noise nuisance. So while we've been having a few of them, especially over the past few months, in terms of where we are prior to the restriction, that has affected our bottom line significantly.
Now here's the math. It takes $150 million at minimum per year to maintain the gardens and pay the 60 staff members. The government gives $60 million each financial year. That leaves a shortfall of $90 million, which the NPF is now trying to plug by signing a memorandum of understanding for the Blue Maho Charitable Foundation based in the US to get funds from the Diaspora.
We've seen the quality of the gardens in some places where we live, and we've also seen the concrete jungles in some places we live. And I would say COVID in particular reminded people of how important getting out of concrete buildings are. We need the open space that's free and clear to be able to interact with other people.
David Mullings is chairman of the Blue Maho Foundation and says a separate account has been set up for persons to make tax-free donations from the US.
We're in talks with some other partners. They've approached us where they have registered entities in those other large markets. UK is our second largest diaspora market. Canada is number 3. Cayman is actually number 4. I'm not sure if a lot of people realize that. So we are focused on a US entity first. You can donate there. We will eventually expand through partnerships for Canada and the UK.
He says in addition to the donation account, he will be pushing for the establishment of an endowment fund so there's a steady investment stream from which cash flow will always be available for Hope Gardens. That's in addition to suggestions he plans on making about how the facility can earn revenue. Across from the newly installed Hope Gardens sign is a fountain that's been devoid of life for decades. However, if funds allow, it could spring forth again under a master development plan for the facility.
I am not sure if, how many persons would have remembered the time when you drove into the gardens and you would see the water all the way 7 feet or more up into the air. We would love to be able to have that happening again.
She says it will cost $7 million to get the fountain going again. Meanwhile, she notes that fixing the bad roads, especially at the main entrance to the gardens and main parking lot, is part of phases 2 and 3 of the Master Development Plan, in addition to investing in irrigation to help with the upkeep of the lawns at the 230-acre property.
We have a lot of hoses and so on. We have a few sprinklers here and there that we use. And it's a real challenge that we have in terms of the irrigation.
I feel that the Hope Gardens I grew up going to was better than the Hope Gardens of today. And to me, that's not acceptable. We're supposed to have the place be better than how we had it. Our next generation should inherit something better. So it's disappointing to see that it is not even at the same level.
Reporting from the Hope Royal Botanic Gardens here in St. Andrew, I'm Krista Campbell for TVJ News.